I'm going to record and I'm going to attempt to share my screen. I practiced the last time I tried to do it. For some reason, it didn't do it, but it's working now. But the reason I wanted to do this call is I actually just put this whole thing together today is because I think a lot of us have been talking about fear lately. Not fear in the sense of rational fears like jumping out of a plane or something, but like irrational fears and the things that we create in our head. And then really stepping out of our comfort zones, which I know that's a cliche term. That's like there's so many overused terms, and that's definitely one of them. And I'm actually going to talk about that. But I want to go through this presentation and kind of walk you through going through the fear, the things that limit us, why we hold back on that fear, and then walking through it, and then just kind of challenging you at the end. So let me share my screen, and just feel free to use the chat whenever you want. If you think something is you have to add, or you think something is completely so funny that I had, I try to make it a little bit funny, so bear with me. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay. Rhonda. Okay. All right, expanding your comfort zone, letting go of fear, expanding your comfort zone, and doing the things that scare the beep out of you. Whatever that means to you. Sometimes scaring the poop out of you would be, talking in front of two people. For somebody, for other people, it could be really, really, really big things. Okay. Where's my... Okay. Are you resisting and avoiding? Are you truly stretching yourself? Some things that you can ask yourself is, are you continually learning and developing as a person? Are you reaching new heights and realizing your full potential? If you are, then congratulations, you are getting out of that comfort zone. You are facing your fears. If any of these questions kind of hit you in the gut, that means you're probably resisting and avoiding, and you're probably afraid of some things, but it's okay. We all have these things. Other things that you can start to ask yourself are you constantly watching what others are doing without working on yourself? And then you see all these things that people are doing, and rather than spending time kind of getting through some of the fears that you have for yourself, you're you're so in comparison mode that you're not stepping through anything of you. And the thing is, you're not understanding that all of the things that you need to face are none of the things other people are facing. Everybody is different and unique. Here's this really, really big one, and I really want to emphasize this, is what story are you telling yourself? Because whatever story you're telling yourself, that's what you're believing. So for instance, and I'm going to pick on Greg for a second, because last year was a really weird year, and I know it was for a lot of us. But one of the stories I had told myself was that it's hard. It's because my business retracted because I had to let go of a lot of stuff last year. And I told myself I could never get it back and that was a story I believed. And then yesterday, of all days, and Greg, you don't even know this yet because you didn't get my boxer, but you said something to me about this business and how typically, and you've heard this several times, that it takes like sometimes 3 times to rebuild it. And I was like, oh, well, that's the new story I'm going to start telling myself. You can rebuild it again, like it doesn't matter where you are, you can do whatever you want. So make sure the story you're telling yourself is one positive one, because you're going to believe whatever you tell. Also, the more you resist, the more it persists. And that one used to really bug me because I hated that, because it's so true. If there's something that you have to walk through or whatever, the more you try to avoid it, it doesn't go away. You can't just sweep it under the carpet. But if you walk through it, it's much easier, and it's much easier than you think. But if you're resisting it, it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And the other thing I wanted to say is, there are several different ways of self-sabotage, and waiting is definitely a way that we sabotage. Another way that we sabotage ourselves is when we do start to make these positive changes in our life, or, if you're starting to grow your business, or maybe you're starting to make a little money, or maybe you're making positive changes in your relationships, or whatever it is, or maybe you have this new relationship with money. there's this kind of theory of self-sabotage, and that's when we begin to make a positive change, we somehow find a way to go back to the place that we know. And if we're not aware of that, we will retract back into that comfort, that easy place. Some things that we do to self-sabotage are, like say something's going great in a relationship. You might start an argument, just sabotage that, or you become frivolous with money again once you start making it, or you tell yourself you don't deserve that. The other thing that I put on here is waiting. It's the enemy of your success. So when you wait, you don't win. I see this all the time, especially in our business. People will just sit and wait on the same people constantly, talk to the same people, just waiting because they're so afraid to invite those people that they really know they could help, but they're afraid to ask them. Some other things of waiting are, we wait till the end of the month to qualify for Success Club. We think we have it okay, and then we're waiting and waiting, and then all of a sudden it's too late. Or we wait for, or we blame corporate, they don't have the right products right now, or I'm going to wait till, Leandro's new program comes out, or I'm going to wait till this new program comes out at Summit, or I'm going to really hit it hard when I go to Summit. Or we wait on somebody else to take action. We wait on somebody else to tell us what to do, when really we could just be stepping up for ourselves. So I want you to look at this picture and ask yourself, how does this picture make you feel? Does it give you more anxiety? Does it kind of make you feel like a loser? Because it kind of makes me feel like a loser sometimes. Does it make you scared, retract? Does it motivate you? Maybe it's a positive thing. For me, when I see this picture, I'm like, okay, I'm a loser. I'm in that comfort zone, and I don't know how to get there where the magic happens. I really want to be there, but I don't know how to get there. And we see this all the time, yet does it spark our efforts to go beyond our comfort zone? Personally, I don't really think it does. Do we really? So I guess the question that I would ask is, do we really need to go beyond our comfort zone? And you can ask yourself that, and you're probably thinking, yes, I do. But I want you to think about it a little bit differently. Sorry, I had put Michael Scott in there because I'm always watching The Office. What if instead of going beyond our comfort zone, what if we expanded our comfort zone? And that is just like the easiest example I can give for you guys, for all of us, especially in Beachbody, is that our workouts. If we start a workout, or if you think back to the very first workout you did and you probably sucked and it was hard. And, for me, I could not imagine doing a pull-up. It just didn't even make sense. I would just hang there. And I'm like, this makes no sense to me whatsoever. But the more I did it, the stronger I got. And pretty soon I was able to do 1. And then pretty soon I was able to do 2. And I started expanding my comfort zone. I started expanding that muscle. And now I can do 6 like nothing. Well, I can do 6, but it's an effort. But I expanded my comfort zone. I expanded where the magic happens. So now it's just growing and growing and growing. And when you do that, that's when your confidence grows. That's when things start to get easier. And then it just grows and grows and grows. Okay, so how do you expand your comfort zone? I really, really, really hesitate to show this slide sometimes, because sometimes I think this gives people excuses. But this is not the slide to show you things that you should do to wait more, or I'm thinking about it, or I should do this. This is that courage slide, because in order to get through fear, you have to have courage. You just need courage, and courage is, that's why I put the line in here. Whether you have to look in the mirror and tell yourself, gosh darn it, I'm worth it, or flex your muscle, or what I love are these power poses. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the TED Talk by, Amy something, I can't remember what her name is, but she talks about power poses. And before, you're really ready to be courageous and do something totally uncomfortable, do these typical poses. My favorite one is the Superwoman one. I love that one. But all those things they're physical things that actually help you have the courage to step outside of that fear. Some other things are, to have the courage are, of course, you have to do your PD, but all the personal development in the world, you can read all day long, you can get up, you can do all that. But unless you apply it, it's not going to make a bit of difference. So you actually have to apply those things that you're learning. And I challenge you to do that. You can kill those negative thoughts. Tony Robbins talks about this with changing your state. Sometimes you just need to put some really good music on and just dance around the room like crazy. Heather Deedle used to tell me that all the time. She was like, and it's crazy, but it works. And then just act yourself positive. When I was working back in the day, I was so scared to call certain people, like whether it be like a CEO or something, because for some reason I thought he was going to jump through the phone and like try to kill me. Like I was that scared. But one thing I do now, if I ever get on the phone, is I smile while I'm talking to people, because it really changes the way you're perceived and it gives you more confidence. The other thing is, if you're having a crappy day, and I talk about this all the time, it's not rocket science, but go be kind and generous to people, because it's going to boost your feelings, it's going to boost how you feel, and it's going to give you more confidence, and you might just be more courageous to do something a little bit scary. I already talked about those power poses on TED Talk. Amy Cuddy, something like that, I think it is, but she has an awesome TED Talk about it. It's great. And then also just increase your confidence. Sometimes we're afraid to do things because we don't know the answers. And I'm not telling you to go find all the answers before you start. It's not what I'm saying. But sometimes if we're more confident in what we know and what we can talk about, it makes things a little bit easier. If you're in a heated discussion with somebody, rather than be like, yeah, whatever, if you have like really, thought out remarks and responses to people, it really makes you not only more confident, but just perceived well from other people. Okay, so how do you put this into practice? Action is what leads you to success. So there's just some really things. Like the first thing is, you just got to do it. You just got to rip off the Band-Aid. And I want to use my mom as an example. So, and this is why none of you have an excuse. For many, many years, my mom and dad used to go on road trips, and they would do things. And my dad drove all the time, and he always told my mom, she can't drive. She'd get in an accident or whatever. Well, now my mom has to do a lot of things for herself. And I just called her the other day. She goes, I just got home. She came back from a 200-mile road trip to my sister's. And she said, you know what? It's not that bad. It just keeps getting better. And a few weeks ago, she went on a 7-hour road trip by herself. And my mom is nearly 76 years old. So if she can start doing things now, then you have no excuse. You have to just start, like I said, rip off the Band-Aid and make a commitment to do something that is a little bit scary. I'll give you an example of one thing I did in this past week that was like super scary to me. One thing I wanted to do this year was to speak at a Toastmasters contest, which is a really scary thing. For some people, be like, whatever, not a big deal. But for me, it was a big deal. And I told my life coach about this several months ago. But when I told her, I was like, no way in hell am I doing this. But it sounded good. It sounded good. But then I was like, God, maybe I should just do this. So I finally, I just talked to a person. I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And she goes, okay, here's the date. So I was committed to it. I was scared, but I did it. So I went to the contest. It went great. Awesome. So last week, I'm like, great, I did this. I got through it. So last week I went to my meeting, and one of the officers said, when are you going to practice again for your next contest? And I said, well, I don't really want to practice in front of the same group again. He goes, oh, well, why don't you contact another group? And I'm thinking, shit. I'm like, I thought I just got through this, but he's challenging me more. And so in my mind, I'm saying, okay, sure, that sounds great. But I'm thinking, no way. I am not only contacting another group, but going in front of like 25 strangers and doing this big speech. I'm not doing it. And I got home and my stomach was churning. It's like, you better do it. You better do it. You better do it. And when your gut is telling you something, you need to listen. So I was like, before, the more you think about it, the more you're scared you're going to be, the more you're going to drive yourself crazy. So I found this lady's name. I sent her an email and I said, that's all I can do. Hope to God she doesn't respond to me. She responded to me. She goes, we have you on the schedule. So, okay. So then I go, and yesterday I was talking to Leanne because I was scared. I was so scared. And I go there, and part of my speech is I speak in a British accent. It's like, it's really big and it's obnoxious and whatever. And I'm thinking, God help me if somebody has a British accent here. So the guy that introduced as the vote counter, like who tallies all the votes, gets up and speaks, and he has a British accent. I wanted to die. And I thought in my head, okay, I'm going to change it right now. I'm not going to do it. But you know what? I did it anyway. They loved it. They thought it was great. Everybody laughed. I did it. So just make a commitment and do something. And if you're scared, think about my mother, Edith, 76 years old nearly. If she can do it, you guys can do it. And then the one quote that, and I share this all the time, I know you guys have heard this, but it's the Marianne Williamson quote, is that our deepest fear is that we are not inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us most. And this is so true. This is so true. We have so much potential, and our greatest fear on the other side of that is our greatest power. So you just have to be brave and courageous and do the things. Get on the phone and call somebody that you're afraid to. If you want to teach an Insanity live instruct, go get certified. Do something. Don't just say you're going to do it. Just actually do it. Okay, a couple more here. All right. Here's one. Oh shoot. Here's one call to action. And this is this book I'm in love with right now. You may have heard about it. It's called The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. She was on, I think, Lewis Howes. She was awesome. And then it led me to her TED Talk. And then it led me to her book, The 5-Second Rule. And it's a very simple philosophy. And it's just the fact of going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Don't think about it. The longer you think about it, you're not going to act. And the thing she does in her TED Talk is, she said after it was over, it was great. She goes, once you start thinking about something, you will not do it. If you have that impulse, act on it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And she was leading, and you could tell the people, like, how like at the end somebody wants to stand up and give a standing ovation, but you're always like, okay, who's going to stand up first? If you have that impulse, just do it. Just go do it. So I've been using this in the morning for when I wake up, because I've been trying to wake up earlier again, because I've gotten a bad habit. So in the morning when my alarm goes off, I'm like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Boom. Don't even think about it. And it's crazy, but it works. And promise you, listen to her audio. It's so good because she's so conversational. She's funny and she's awesome. And if you don't get the book, watch the TED Talk first. Because that's what really led to her whole 5-second rule. She didn't even talk about it till like the last couple minutes of her TED Talk. Okay. Action defeats fear. And I think it was Pam, she said a quote that was a little bit similar to this, but she said, if you decide that you're only going to do the things you know are going to work, you're going to leave a lot of opportunity on the table. So if you only act through what you know, your life is just going to kind of be a little bit boring. Have to act on faith. You have to just act as if, and you're going to fail, and who cares? If you've ever listened to the story from the lady who created Spanx, she's got a great story, but she always talked about how her dad really instilled failing in her. And he would ask them every single day, what'd you fail at today? What'd you fail at today? What'd you fail at? Whereas failure became like a thing. It became everything. She tried to fail every single day. So you're going to fail. It's okay. But if you don't do anything, you're never going to get anywhere. And lastly, my call to action to you is, I would love for you, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday, but I would love for you to post what you will do in the next week that's going to stretch your comfort zone, both personally and as it relates to your business. Some examples of, maybe you need to have a difficult conversation with somebody that you've been wanting to tell something for somebody for a long time. Or maybe you don't just post something about a challenge group on your page. Maybe you actually ask that person that you're scared to death to ask. Or maybe you just commit back to your own fitness. Maybe you've been slacking. I don't know what it is. But don't let fear rob you of what is good. You may regret it for the rest of your life. I'm done. That was only 20 minutes, but I got to get out of this thing because it drives me crazy when I can't see your faces. Okay, there you are. All right. Does anybody have anything to share? Or anybody want to share what they're going to do or have done this week that's been a little bit scary? Did anybody speak with a British accent that doesn't have a British accent?
I never do anything scary. I got on this call today. I'm scared of that. No, I have one thing. I've been reflecting a little bit just from my own life and looking back. And when you look back and you connect the dots, then it's like you start to wonder, like, what was I doing? When you give yourself a a grading to see how, if you're making progress or not. There's certain parts of my life where I'm like, I had this little mini revelation. I'm like, I didn't really progress at all. So now I'm like, progress just makes you, it's kind of euphoric progress, and the action is what it takes to get there. So maybe just do a little inventory on, are you making progress if you look back, or are you just stuck in the same spot? What kind of action are we taking to get there? It's kind of, it's refreshing when we step outside the comfort zone. Cliche, but
Well,
I made a video and got a house. I did that this week.
that's awesome. But the thing is that I probably didn't emphasize this enough. Oh, can you, because it's like, one thing I didn't emphasize enough is that once you do it, and as we talk about expanding that comfort zone, then you start to get more confident. And then those things that were once scary are not, just like like my mom getting in the car and driving or whatever. And you can think about, like Greg said, going back and think about the things that you did like back then. God, they seemed like so scary. And now it's like, whatever, So it brings about this confidence. And when you're confident, it's crazy the things that you can do and attract into your life. So, you can get a new house. You can get an amazing race. So great to see your faces on here.
It will happen. I said it here first. Will you guys watch me on Amazing Race?
Just don't be like that jerk that's on this season. I love that show.
No, I think they spin it quite a bit sometimes, but.
I was just going to share something. I had to get off. Hopefully my kids will shut up for a second. Talking about fear, I don't know, it's kind of funny. I was talking with Greg earlier on Boxer this week, and we were just talking about, like, since we became coaches, how much our lives have changed, in the amount of time that we've done stuff. And it got me thinking about, like, how when Rhonda and Greg and I first started, like, the amount of jumping that we had to do from our comfort zones was enormous. And I can look now back and say, thank God I did it, and did anything happen to me? No. Did anything happen to Rhonda? No. Did anything happen to Greg? No. So if you let fear hold you back, I can tell you, you're stopping yourself from living an awesome and amazing life. And you're stopping yourself from having wonderful and amazing people be brought into your life. So look at it that way. Look at it as, not being selfish in a sense. Fear is kind of, I think, a selfish thing. You're protecting yourself. But yet, if you can give of yourself to others and do something that's brave and that's a little scary, you're going to learn so much. And in the process, you're going to help so many people. And that's the point of what we do, in all aspects of what we do, whether it's parenting, whether it's our job, or whether it's coaching, or whether it's chakra healing, like whatever it is. So don't be fearful of stepping out of your comfort zone.
Well, I would add to that is that it's okay to have fear, but you just got to act on it, and because everybody's scared, everybody's scared, but the successful people, or whatever you want to label them, do it anyway. And then it's like you're like, oh my God, it wasn't that bad. It was awesome. So what I don't want to happen is leave this call and be like, okay, that was good. Okay. Totally. I really want you to challenge yourself, like that one thing or whatever it is, to start. And then once you do that, it's like snowball, you inspire other people, and and you're going to retract, and you're going to sabotage, and you're going to do all that, but it's a process, and it's all leading you. Think of every single one of you that are on this call. Every single one of you have done things throughout the years that have been scary. Just keep doing that. And keep inspiring other people. And it doesn't matter where you are in your business. I don't care. It just matters that you continue to show up, and that wherever you are, you continue to move forward. If you have setbacks, you just get up and go again. And I think, Carol, you mentioned it, but it's the Mel Robbins book. Seriously, that book will light a fire under you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom, go. Don't think. All right. Anybody else? I'm so happy to see all your faces. Seriously, it's great. That's all I have. But if you would, just do me a favor, put it on the wall, our team page, and say something, or tell the story of something that you did. Like, that's even better. And just inspire other people. And then share it on your wall and do that and challenge people. All right. You guys have a great night. Love ya. And talk to you soon. Peace out.